Bevon Joseph. He will be talking about some digital updates that he has in the Chatham neighborhood and other Southside locations. So thank you and welcome him.
Thank you.
Round of applause.
And just plug in there. Okay. Oops. Right. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Bevon Joseph. I do a few things, but primarily work with young people across multiple cities. Um, Financial literacy was kind of what I started with 10 years ago when I started a nonprofit called the Greenwood Project. But now AI has dominated every conversation everywhere. So I think I'm speaking at least 7, 8 times a week about AI 101 for business owners, for parents, for teachers. And there's a lot of talk about innovation and funding, right? And that's one thing we try to do. I try to be a bridge between education and work. And I feel we don't have enough of that happening today, especially in the age of AI, where young people I talk to every single day, high school, college, their teachers, their parents, when I ask them, give me some examples of careers you're interested in, college majors you're curious about pursuing, I get the same answers everywhere I go. The next question is, what's the impact of AI on that thing? And nobody knows. So in my opinion, we have a kind of like a national crisis, right? I'm screaming at every professor, every high school principal, everywhere I go, because there's such a disconnect between where our students are learning and what they're being prepared for and what the future of work looks like today. Because the future of work is changing super fast, right? I'm in AI all day long. I'm talking about it to everybody all day long, and most people aren't doing that, right? So I'm a little bit of a nerd that way, but that's, again, that's my job, is to really take all that information and translate it in a way that folks can understand on the street and do something that we call street level AI education, right? So I'll talk about a few things today, but I really want to give you guys some examples of how we've been working with young people, with business owners, with parents, with teachers, with school systems. I'm based in Chicago, but we do this with the Department of Education in New York City. We're in 57 high schools there in Queens now, expanded to Brooklyn, the Bronx. We're in Baltimore, going to Michigan, Houston, and some other cities. And everywhere is the same thing. Like the theme is, how do we get our young people more ready for the future of work, right? Financial literacy, AI education, and top priority for me is what I call how to be at work skills. Our young people are not being taught how to be at work, right? Soft skills still matter. Actually, that's going to be the thing that differentiates not just young people, but everybody in the age of AI. So again, originally from Trinidad and moved to New York. I was lived in New York for about 20 years. My entire career was on Wall Street, and started my nonprofit, the Greenwood Project, because I didn't see many people who looked like me, spoke like me on Wall Street. Primarily, I worked on trading floors, the New York Stock Exchange and some other places. So I started an organization out of my own lived experience to help more Black and brown kids get into careers in finance. That was 10 years ago. We worked with over 2,000 kids. 95% of them today are in New York, Chicago, LA, London, other places. These are all kids from the south side and the west sides of Chicago who otherwise would not get a look, right? So I believe in access to opportunity, and I believe that kids can be what they can't see. So my job is to show them, everybody's job is to show them as much as we can when it comes to careers. And again, in the age of AI, what that looks like as well. So again, what we do is we connect young people to opportunities, to careers, but we get them ready for those opportunities. We don't want to set them up for failure, right? We want to make sure that they know the inside information, as I call it. Like what does it mean to be on a trading floor at the New York Stock Exchange? What does it mean to work in investment banking at Goldman Sachs? Because there's some things that people won't tell you. The only people that can tell you that is people who've done it before, right? I love professors. I love going to colleges and speak all the time, but we don't really get along. And the reason for that is I believe that we need to connect the corporate world more with the classroom. We need to get kids out of the classroom and get them to visit these companies, get them more internships, get them more career exposure, and getting them playing around with things like AI, right? I call AI the show me technology. It's not enough to tell me you know what it is. You actually have to show people, right? And there are companies hiring interns today and full-time employees based on what you can do, right? And that could be with or without a college degree, right? Not everybody's going to go to college, right? Entrepreneurship now is a big, big thing in the age of AI. What we did this summer, we had a camp in Hyde Park at the Southside STEM station. We took 30 high school kids, and for 10 days, on day one, most of them only knew about ChatGPT, and that was it. But we had them create apps and platforms to solve problems in their community that nobody else is solving. So we took the idea out of their head and we built something and showed it to them. And it blew their mind. Because again, with AI, it's demystifying and democratizing access to technology. And it's free, right? It's actually free to play around with this stuff. So what we like to do is we don't just want to lecture kids, we want to show them how to build stuff that they can monetize and solve problems in their community. So when you talk about innovation, when you talk about funding, I'll walk you guys through one thing that we're doing. But again, part of our work is really everywhere we go is large scale events as well too. We're at IIT this past May with 300 kids from CPS. We were at St. John's University in New York with 1,200 kids. We'll be there with 2,000 next year. We'll be there at IIT with 1,000 in May as well too. The goal is exposure and access. And we bring our corporate partners from finance, from tech, you name it, and bombard them with information that they actually can use. And we don't forget about the parents either. So we work with parents almost on a monthly basis, virtually or in person, in multiple cities, because when it comes to things like financial literacy, it doesn't make sense to get a kid all excited about, investing, and then they go home and they can't have that conversation with their parents, right? Because we primarily work with first generation kids who go to college, right? So we're trying to break these generational cycles of a lack of access, education, and financial literacy, AI literacy now, right? So we meet with parents so that them and the young person are on the same page. So teachers, parents, and students. Those are the three main folks that we want to work with because they're the ones that interact with these young people all day long, and they're the ones that these kids are influenced by, right? Again, we also use AI to create tools to empower parents to manage their finances, to learn about digital literacy. We build tools for career counselors in high schools and colleges to help kids navigate and understand different types of careers because a college counselor is usually overworked and outnumbered and very overwhelmed. And most of those individuals didn't come from corporate America. They were teachers who ended up in some of those roles, right? And again, not through any fault of their own, they're not able to expose kids to as many careers as they should be exposed to. So we build AI tools to say, hey, literally, what career are you curious about? And it will map that out for you. Because we always tell young people, go do something, we don't show them how to do it. So we decided to use AI to build tools, to build like a roadmap, a blueprint, to say, this is how you get from where you are today as a junior in high school to investment banking, to a computer engineer, to a pilot, whatever it is. Oh, and by the way, this is the impact AI is going to have on that career. So if it's going to eliminate or change that career forever, learn AI now. Because, people keep saying AI will take jobs, etc. AI is not going to take your job. The person who knows AI will take your job. Right? That's what I tell young people. So know AI. You don't need to be an expert. It needs to be on your resume. We did a workshop with 35 kids 2 weeks ago at a nonprofit in Hyde Park. And the same thing I told them, like they were all high school kids heading off to college. And same thing, like 99% of them gave me the same answers when it came to careers. What do you use ChatGPT for? Homework, research. That's it. Write an email. That's 99% of the people that I talk to every single day. Adults from ages 0 to 100. Like everybody's saying the same thing. And it's so much deeper than that. And it's happening so quickly that folks are really oblivious to what's really happening and how quickly it's coming, right? I talk to CEOs, I talk to leaders at multiple companies across finance, tech, and others, and they're like finding ways to cut jobs or to be more efficient, they call it, right? And the folks who don't have those skills to say, hey, I know how to build this, or I can do that, I can train your people, I can do that. Like those are the folks, so the first folks will be let go. And I'm seeing it like every day. right? So if you want to build a website right now, you could do that on your phone in 5 minutes or less. If you want to build an app, we could build that right now and monetize it and start selling something, right? We could take a picture of this mic and create a whole store on Shopify within ChatGPT right now. Those are things that would take months, sometimes years before, right? And you have to spend a lot of money to get it done. So in the age of AI, our job really is to empower communities, not just young people, but communities to understand how this technology is going to impact them. And again, I'll walk you guys through some of the stuff that we do. So the Greenwood Project I started 10 years ago, Bevon's Mentee Network. I have so many mentees I had to create a whole organization just so they can manage themselves. And we do events and education and stuff like that. Campus Core and Invest, we work in New York City, Department of Education, financial literacy and stuff like that. And then I have a consulting thing where we do build AI solutions for social impact organizations. So I'm very, very concerned about the social impact space in particular because historically it's been very legacy driven. A lot of people like myself, they started because of a lived experience. I did not set out to do this for a living at all. I was working in finance, I was at a hedge fund doing my thing, and then I decided to try to change the industry to get more kids into those internship roles. Started with 5 kids, and now here I am 10 years later. Again, didn't expect to be doing this, but along the way, we had to like grow. I had to learn. I had to build an organization. I had to build a business, right? And it went from just me to now it's like a $4 million organization. It's a national organization working with kids across the country. But again, I see what happens when we become very dependent on certain sources of funding and that dries up, right? A lot of my friends who run nonprofits are not in business anymore. They're back to a job, looking for a job, right? And the skills they need for those jobs are like very different now. So again, I work with nonprofits as well to help train their boards sometimes, because the biggest roadblock I've seen in not just the social impact space, but everywhere is at the top, right? We don't have leaders and CEOs and boards that are AI fluent. And AI is exposing them in a big way. You ask them 3 questions like, what tools do you use today? How is it being used in your firm? And so, tell me one problem you're solving with AI. And most of them just say ChatGPT. That's all they can say. So how can you transform an organization if at the top you have all this static and all these people who are like sometimes refusing, I wouldn't say get out of the way, but to change, right? So I work with boards of nonprofits and say, listen, we need to train your leaders to at least be AI aware. Because guess what? They're serving young people. If you're at the top here and you're like hesitant to change and you don't understand what's happening in the world when it comes to AI and the future of work, how can you empower young people, right? One example is, again, this group I worked with last week, all high school kids that they placed in summer internships. And they were struggling for companies to hire them. And I said to them, you're not giving your kids the AI edge, right? You're not training these young people for the skills that the companies are looking for, right? If you have AI stuff on your resume, it will get to the top of the pile immediately. 45% of job descriptions for internships in finance today require some AI knowledge. Think about that. If you don't have AI, anything on your resume, again, you don't need to be an expert, they don't even want to talk to you. And on paper, everybody looks amazing these days because AI can do your resume, it can fix your profile on LinkedIn, right? And then guess what? On the employer side, they're using AI to find the right candidate. So we have AI fighting each other. So what's the thing that's going to differentiate you? Human skills. Having a conversation, being on time, how to dress, elevator pitches, we stress that big time with our young people, right? So again, when it comes to what we're talking about today, again, around funding, again, all the stuff that's happening in Chicago in particular, I think I see with the young people here, there's no lack of talent and potential. We have a lack of access to opportunity and knowledge. Again, there's a lot of information out there. Most people just don't know where to start, right? And they're looking for a trusted organization, person, or vehicle, some kind of thing, institution to tell them where to start. And that's from business owners to parents to teachers, like I said, and especially young people. And I think when I work, the communities that I work in that are super, what I call underestimated and under-resourced, nobody's going there to talk about this stuff, right? And I go to events downtown all the time, and I don't believe that we should have to leave our communities to get access to opportunities and to knowledge. Because again, I go into these rooms and I see the same people every day. Every time I go to these events, they're the same people. And I ask them, why aren't you coming west or south, right, past Soldier Field or past the United Center? Like, there's stuff there too. Like there's great people and talent and stuff you should be doing. So when it comes to like investing in the community, one thing I'll talk about today is a new space that will be opening on 79th Street, all right, 79 and Champlain, right off of Cottage Grove. A friend of mine, Keona Owens, she's been in the digital literacy space for a long time. She acquired a building, an 11,000 square foot building, 11,000 square feet, right, on 79th Street. And within that space is going to be a digital hub that I'll be designing and running. A digital hub that we'll be talking about financial literacy, workforce readiness skills, AI literacy, workforce development. I don't think you can separate workforce development from education. It's the same thing. You're supposed to be educating young people for work. It's all workforce development, in my opinion. And I think when it comes to AI, what does that look like in the age of AI, right? So in that space, today I'm inviting every single person in this room to have a conversation about that space. Come see it, see what we're trying to do. I'm a community partner of OpenAI in Chicago. I help them with community efforts in Chicago, so we'll be inviting them into that space. We're talking about certifications, right? OpenAI now has certifications. So everybody who comes through our program, our training, we want to get them certified in something that has to do with ChatGPT, OpenAI. Again, the whole goal is to build their digital profile, their resume, to make them more attractive for the future of work, right? And again, that's what we're trying to do at scale. So we already do this in Hyde Park with the Southside STEM Station. We're replicating that space in this building. We're going further south. And if you ask me, I live in Hyde Park. I think Hyde Park will be okay. University of Chicago is going to take care of Hyde Park. They're just, I still want to help kids everywhere, but it's needed on 79th Street. That's where it's needed. It's needed on the west side, right? We don't do a good job of bringing technology to communities at all. We're always chasing it. We're constantly chasing, like, do I have to go to 1871? Do I have to go to this thing, this conference downtown? Most people that I work with, they can't come here. They can't be in this room today because they can't afford to be here. They got stuff going on, right? But this is great information that they should have, right? How do you get the information out to people, right? So I think one thing we do is really talk about how do we bring, right, digital equity into communities. But one example I'll give today is we decided to work with chambers of commerce. We'd love to work with you guys, the Southline Chamber. So we would go to chambers and say, hey, give me 10 businesses, small businesses of this size, right? And we'll partner with a local high school or a nonprofit, and we will train young people to build AI solutions for those businesses. We have young people now building solutions, AI solutions for businesses in the communities that they live, right? The businesses have to be able to pay something because we're training these young people to be consultants. And we're giving them skills, soft skills, technical skills, AI skills. And guess what? They're familiar with a lot of these businesses already. They might be related to some of these people. So when you think about being innovative, like I partner with Microsoft and all these guys, like when politics is what it is, DEI went away, all of a sudden people didn't care about certain things anymore, right? In my opinion, well, and just as it's my opinion, like we don't need them because we found ways to do it. Like we have enough knowledge, we have enough brain power, we have enough resources. The issue has been how do you collaborate and make it work, right? And that's what we've been able to do. So we'll go to the chamber, like I said, get 10 businesses. Is it a website that they need? Is it an app? Is it a 24/7 like chatbot, AI-driven thing for the website? Whatever it is there a back office solution that we can automate for them? And we'll train young people how to do that. And they can keep paying these young people afterwards. And some of these young people now will say, hey, I like talking to people. So, okay, that's sales. I don't want to talk to people. All right, you can be in the back office, right? I like designing stuff. That's marketing. Let's talk about AI tools for marketing. Let's talk about digital marketing. Let's talk about helping that business build their social media footprint, managing their entire social media, right? All of these careers that kids don't even know exist today, that we help them identify and learn about and get skills on, and then they could solve those problems for those business owners. Because when I talk to small business owners, they want the education. They'll come to all the events. They don't have time to do it. They're busy, right? And they might have a limited budget as well, right? So what we do is we're like, hey, guess what? You get to employ young people in this high school that's right up the street, right? Or this nonprofit that serves your community, and they'll solve this problem for you. That's an automatic yes from every single one of them, because you're checking a number of boxes there, right? You're helping the community, helping the kids. You're getting something that you'd otherwise have to pay a lot of money for. And you're also getting sometimes your people trained as well. So we even bring the staff in and upskill them on AI stuff. I'm going to talk about financial literacy. We partner with Chase and Bank of America about financial literacy stuff all the time. We partner with Bloomberg Financial, like in New York and other places. We are very proactive in activating corporate partners because these folks have a ton of money. There's no lack of dollars on the private foundation side at firms. They have a lot of money, right? What everybody's looking for is the easy button to press, as I call it. How do I make it as easy as possible for you to volunteer, give back, support, get involved? And at the end of the day, we'll make you look good. Storytelling, right? We don't raise money, we tell stories, right? And the kids tell their stories. And those are stories that these corporate partners can't tell themselves at all because they're not going to those communities, not working with those young people. They don't have those solutions. They have great intentions, right? But that doesn't solve problems. Execution solves problems. So we're able to execute and we're able to make it super easy for them to get involved and support what we're doing. So we'll tell them on this day, send 50 people to do this thing. And these are their roles, and this is the time frame, and this is what we need from you. Okay, they show up in droves. We had this event at IT. We had like 40 people from Bank of America showed up and volunteered and stayed all day long, and they can't wait to do more now, right? So I think small business owners, young people, we need to help teach them about storytelling in the age of a lack of funding, right? Because again, you can unlock a lot of dollars if you're able to tell a good story. Most nonprofits and most community organizations don't do a good job of storytelling, but AI itself has like made it even easier to do that now. Right? We'll take information from a business owner, and again, there's brand new tools coming out every day. Last week, Google released a tool where you took your URL for your website and put it in there, and it crafted an entire marketing campaign for you based on your website, based on your product, based on your mission. I'm talking about all the assets you need for social media, the reels, right? The cards for like storytelling, for stories, for LinkedIn carousel, like you name it. It creates it for you, right? Think about the cost to do that in the past, right? But again, most people aren't so deep into AI all day long like me and my friends are to figure out like what this thing is happening and what's going on. But that's what gives you the edge. So I think when it comes to being innovative in the age of AI, it's making it easier. The thing is, most people just don't have the time to go down those rabbit holes that we do. But my goal is again to spread as much of this information as we can by working with what we call centers of influence, like chambers, associations, like trade organizations who have a large reach into a lot of business owners or school systems. We work with CPS here, the CTE program. So CPS has realized that they can't have that conversation about the future of work by themselves. They're educators. Their job is to educate kids, right? They're not in corporate America. So the CTE program, which is a career technical education part of it, so there's tracks, right? There's business, there's healthcare, there's tech, and all that stuff. For the business one, they've started these industry councils, advisory councils, where they're bringing professionals in to advise CPS on how to design the curriculum for 2026. So I just joined the one for the business track to help when it comes to AI in particular, to talk about what skills we believe kids in Chicago public schools need to have to be more attractive to employers down the road, right? So that's a very bold, big decision that they made that I think makes a lot of sense that every school should be doing, every school system should be doing, because again, AI is exposing the fact that these kids are just not ready, they're not getting prepared. So again, things like that are happening in Chicago, which I'm very happy to see in New York. They've been very flexible and innovative in the things that we've been able to do with them there to really help kids get ready. A big part of everything that we do is social capital and mentorship, right? We always talk about your network being your net worth, like who you know matters. So we'll talk about education, we'll talk about the skills, but we teach young people in particular how to network and the power of relationships in business in particular, in life too. I think it's a lot of young people I meet are terrified of public speaking, right? They're terrified to come into a room here. They won't make eye contact, right? They'll sit by themselves, they'll sit together, right? And I see this with adults too, right? And we all go to events and we see our friends and we just sit there and we don't mingle much. So we really believe in the power of social capital and helping young people in particular grow their network, right? So we give them the tools to be able to do that. We train them how to do that. We practice that over and over, elevator pitches, right? Have something to talk about, interviewing skills, right? making small talk. You know, a lot of people don't like to do that, but you have to do that sometimes, right? But all these skills like are super important and weaved into everything that we do. All the events, all this programming that we do with schools, etc., nonprofits. We always talk about mentorship, connecting young people with folks who can help them down the road. And one stat that I have for the last 10 years, every night, every year we would do a parent night with the kids that we worked with. And this is over 10 years. So over 10 years, I've met, what, 5 dads. Think about it, I worked with like over 2,000 kids, right? So the mentorship part is key. Like all the stuff we're talking about doesn't matter if a kid doesn't have a caring adult in their life to help them navigate life and all this other stuff. So what we do is we recruit a lot of mentors who look like our kids because representation matters. If they see themselves, right, doing something, that person, a CEO or investor, whoever it is, a leader of a company, they believe automatically they could do it. So when we do these events in New York City, like we stand on a stage and there's 2,000 young people in front of me. I'm originally from Trinidad. These kids are all living in Queens and Brooklyn. Most of them come from the Caribbean. So when they see me and my friends on stage, it's like, oh, you're from Trinidad? I'm like, yeah, okay. You know, so when we do things like at the New York Stock Exchange, when we rang the bell, we've done this like 2 times already. All those kids up there, students from my program, none of these people are my board members. You see what I'm saying? I understand the power of imagery. I understand the power of representation. That picture right there will last for way outlast me, right? Their kids, and their grandkids will see that, and that would mean something to them. So when we get access to the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ to do these type of things, or Goldman Sachs, like we put our kids up front because we understand that representation and imposter syndrome and all that stuff is a real thing. So when we have these opportunities, we put our kids front and center because we know what it means to them and every generation after them. There's a ripple effect to somebody getting opportunity in a family, and we see it every day. Our kids are making average, six figures today. All the students that we place in internships in finance and stuff and tech, right? So I think one thing we're trying to do is what we say is like future proof the careers of young people. And again, AI is that thing now. Like how do we get kids the AI edge, right? And help them understand they could build stuff. And I was talking about the space. So this is on 79th and Champlain. Again, we are going to have workforce development there. There's a creative space like a podcast studio and all that kind of stuff. Kiona does a lot of just giveaways. We were there on Saturday giving away pallets and pallets of food to anybody, and it was all going. She does this all the time, right? So it's gonna be a hub of you name it. It's gonna be in there, and everything is free to the community, right? But we need partners, we need investors in that space. We're gonna try to bring OpenAI in there and all these guys to say, hey, if you guys care about community, then show us how much you care, and that means writing a check because we have everything else we need. We don't need, we have the curriculum, we have the expertise, we have the experience, we got the kids, we got the young people. Like we have everything. We just need more money. That's the conversation I have. When I started 10 years ago, I was very shy to ask about money. Now I'm not. So we ask up front. Like, listen, this is what it's going to cost to outfit the space, state of the art, all the stuff that we need in there. There'll be 3D printers, there'll be VR headsets. So interesting, right? So these days you can put a VR headset on and use that in workforce development, right? So we put that on a kid and say, who do you want to talk to? Who do you want to have an interview with? The CEO of Microsoft, okay, and you can sit from across that person and have an interview with them. You can do a coding interview, right? You can practice to fly a plane. I mean, workforce development is a thing in VR headsets now, right? So that's helped reduce the cost that companies pay to train people because you could actually put this headset on and practice and use your hands and stuff, right? The airline industry is using it heavily to train like mechanics for like airplanes and stuff like that. So again, in this space, that's the goal. My job in this space is to bring employers in there, build a digital hub, right, and make it again accessible and free to the community. Because one thing we're starting here is I have this idea of what I call a community-owned venture studio. So a venture studio is typically where you get your idea incubated and your business grown like an accelerator, and you come in the door with an idea. You usually need to have revenue, and clients and customers and be 5 years old as a business, and then they take you through this process, and then at the end you get funding, and you go off and do your thing, and they take sometimes 20 to upwards 40% of your equity in your business, right, before you exit the door. What we want to do is have a community version of that where anybody could walk in the door, a community member, a student with an idea, and we'll vet it and we'll take them through that whole process, and we'll raise a fund. So at the end, they get some money, but we don't take any more than 10% of their business. And that 10% goes back into the next cohort that's coming behind it. Right? M-Hub, who's up here somewhere, they want to talk to us about collaborating on that as well. M-Hub is very well funded. Right? They have a beautiful space, but they're not on 79th Street. So, I mean, they're doing great work, but not for the people that I work with, in my opinion. But they saw the idea, and they want to partner with us on it, right? So we're pitching this everywhere, and we're saying, hey, we only want to raise money once for the first cohort. So when you talk about funding, sustainability, innovation, right? Nobody else is doing this in Chicago. It's hardly even being done across the country, right? Because investors are looking to make money. We're looking to have impact and just be sustainable and not have to rely on fundraising and not have to rely on asking for a check, right? So in this space right here, all these things are happening, right? And it's all because we want to like bring that technology, that information, that work into the community and have an impact that really matters. Because if you're familiar with 79th Street, I mean, drive around and see what it looks like. Like see what both sides of this building looks like, right? And again, we're looking to help the folks who live there. Like that's our goal. So again, in there is workforce development, digital skills lab, AI, creative studio, media space, a co-working space as well too, and just collaboration on different events as well too. So again, it'll be youths, parents, educators, small businesses. We're gonna monetize the space. Like companies will encourage companies to send their employees there to be trained. Right? We'll look into WEO training as well, right? All that kind of stuff. Like we're gonna find ways to make this building profitable. Like that's the goal. It's a community space, but it's not really that. It's a business that we're running, and we're trying to make it profitable to help the community. I think in the nonprofit world, people raise money and give it away. I don't think that's a great idea. I think too many nonprofit leaders go out and just raise money, have big galas, and raise $2 million, and then they just give it away, right? I think the goal is to be sustainable, to run it as a business. So we want to raise money, put it back into the community, invest in those people that live there, so they can then give back to where they live, right? That's our goal when it comes to like sustainability and raising money and all that kind of stuff. And when we talk to donors and foundations, we don't ask for charity, we ask for investment. We ask for partnership. We don't ask for charity and donations. We ask for partnership and make an investment in what we're doing. So I could talk all day, but anybody have any questions? But I think my goal is to, like I said, be a bridge between small business owners, our communities, school systems, you name it. The average person on the street, I feel like most people are just unaware and oblivious to what's happening and how quickly it's happening. And we're trying to change that by just being, again, a wealth of resources, access to opportunity, bring corporate partners into the mix, bring universities. We love Chicago State. We already have IIT committed to partnering with us on this space as well. Chicago State is our neighbor. We'd love to have them there as well too. And then anybody else that's interested, Yeah, South Shore. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The last day of our summer program that we did in Hyde Park, a state senator came by to see the kids. They did a demonstration and stuff like that. And he had just come from touring the quantum space. And what I told him was like, these are your employees here. So you got to invest in them now, because they were talking all this talk about talent, coming from the south side is like, well, here's a room full of talent right here. You need to support what we're doing right now, right? So when it comes to like the quantum space, yes, that's the next thing that's happening. I think Microsoft just tested their first AI model driven by a quantum computer recently, just like last week, right? So this thing is happening pretty quickly. So yes, when it comes to the quantum stuff, we will insert ourselves in that conversation as much as we can from the talent angle and from the community side, because there's also a dark side to AI that a lot of people don't talk about, which is the climate side and the community side and the water and all that stuff. A lot of kids don't know about that. We talked about that last week, and half of the kids was like, "That's terrible, right? It is terrible, right?" So there's a balancing. And to your question, so I work with Kiona and Kelly Library and also Betsy Coleman Library as well with seniors. So we're ages 0 to 100. Like anybody who's interested in learning about AI and the future of work and skills and upskilling and changing their skills, but even understanding what skills are required now if they want to come back into the workforce. A lot of companies have returnships, for people who've taken a career break. I mean, big financial firms like Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs have those for women who've taken a break, to have a family and want to come back into work now. You can do a returnship, and they'll train you. And in this day of age of AI, they'll train you on AI stuff as well, and then you have a job at the end of that conversation as well too. Any other questions, comments? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think, like I said, we plan to insert ourselves in all those conversations for sure. Yeah. Good. All right. Well, yeah, so you could scan that and connect it. I'll also be here. I can give you my information. But yeah, we'd love to. We're gonna set up tours of the space as well pretty soon. So we'd love you guys to come and check it out and see what we're up to and figure out ways to collaborate on what we're doing on 79th Street. And again, we still have our Hyde Park location, the STEM Center there in Hopper Court that we'll be doing year-round stuff. Everything is free to the community, like I said, but we're not free. So we gotta find, so again, that's our job, is to go to corporate partners and say, listen, we have all these folks we want to serve who are very anxious and eager for this information, but you gotta show that you care. So we also work with the city of Chicago, DFSS, their corporate partnership program. Somebody was talking about from the library, talking about career fairs. There's one tomorrow at Leglow Library that will be there. Yeah, we do Dress for Success events. We get corporate partners to donate professional attire for young people ages 16 to 24. And these are companies like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, are all donating stuff because young people and job seekers need to look good, feel good. So we do all those things as well that are all encompassing of workforce development and getting people ready for work as well too. So thank you. I appreciate. Oh, question. So she gets got the keys like 2 weeks ago, but the place is like it used to be the former like Illinois Cook County Work Board something workforce. They were there for like 5 years. They moved out because of lack of foot traffic. Like we won't have that problem. We through DFSS, we have access to thousands of young people who are all looking for jobs, and we'll be teaching them AI skills and workforce development skills, soft skills, financial literacy skills. So we'll have that space like packed with folks who from the community who are looking to gain new skills and career opportunities, and we'll bring employers there to meet them, career fairs, job fairs, and all that kind of stuff too. All right, thank you, appreciate it. Oh yeah. All right.
Thank you. We definitely, will the place be ready?
We'll let you know soon, or very soon.
Okay. Definitely want a field trip. Well, thank you, Bevon. Thank you for sharing that information. I think it's very valuable that we are aware that is up and coming and where we could direct our students to.